She dropped her phone. Come on.
Are you fucking serious? I have like the gnarliest chills right now. I can't even like do it. Ah! What the fuck?
Nora is super unique, and she skates a lot of transition, but she kind of breaks that mold. The way she skates is like iconic.
I like how it looks easy for her. She's got control, you know, of her skateboard.
She's definitely pushing her limits and like skating as hard as she can.
She's the elite of the elite.
She's one of my favorite, not girl skateboarders, one of my favorite skateboarders.
Right now we are at the corner of Fairfax and Melrose. We are in Los Angeles, California. I like LA. I would not live here. I grew up in a small town in southeastern Massachusetts called Pembroke. Very idyllic in terms of, you know, the storybook childhood.
She was really goofy, really animated, full of life, full of energy, very creative. It's always how she's been.
It was always like having an adventure buddy and stuff, and we'd always watch Rocket Power. That's how she got into skateboarding. We almost were never inside. Our parents were cool about kind of giving us a real long leash, and I think that gives a lot of credit to like how we both got to where we are and how Nora got to be a professional skateboarder.
When Nora was a kid, she was who she is now, just a lot smaller. She climbed things and played with things. She drew pictures. She's a whimsical little creature. She had a list that Christmas, and if I recall correctly, I think there were 10 items listed, and each one of them was a skateboard.
Nora, what's today?
Big Santa King. Want to see? Christmas. This is the biggest present I got. Skateboard!
Wow, Nora, look at you, honey. Can I see?
For me, skateboarding is just pure youth. It's just an excuse to continue playing as I turn into an adult. My brother and I, we had the rollerblades, we had the BMX bikes, we had the mountain bikes, we had skateboards. We'd build jumps in the backyard for our mountain bikes. And it just got to the point where I just like was uninterested in trying to build bigger and bigger jumps. Like I was getting scared. Because as I got older, I was very good at being like, that's kind of risky, I don't need to do that. But I think, I don't know, skateboarding, it was like I'll bleed for this.
What would you say your favorite things to do are these days at your age?
Eat. I just think being a woman in skateboarding, it was just a very solitary thing. In the beginning, I was by myself, but also solitary in the social and community aspects of it. A lot of guys are intimidated by a girl being at a skate park just as much as I'm intimidated by them being there. And I also think with skateboarding, it was not something that anybody I knew or was friends with or even was influenced by on a personal level at a young age did.
There's this idea that any girl who goes to the skate park is only going because they like skater boys. I've noticed that also from talking to a lot of other girls who just started. They kind of like are nervous to go because they don't know what people think about them.
When I first started, there really wasn't. I would see every once in a while, like there was a Powell segment with some girls. You know, when people would say to me like, oh, you know, you're a female skateboarder or the first female pro or some stuff like that, you know? I would always think in my head like, why is it gotta have that attached to it, you know? But things weren't as diverse as they are now.
My little sister wanted to start skating back in the day, and there were no girls skating in Ohio back then. We would try to take her to the skate park, and my parents were always really scared. I just remember not understanding why my parents didn't want her to do it. I thought it was cool to like hang out with my sister and come skate.
It's a really sexist sport, and yeah, it's like you'll always get judged being a young woman at a skate park, you know? You're like, yeah, girl, you can't skate, but that's super punk rock, I feel like. Fuck you know, like, I don't give a shit. I always loved that, girls sweating at the skate park. It's like, I'm just another human, like, enjoying myself, you know?
When I first turned pro or whatever, when I first got on Toy Machine, you know, people would say, I'm better than her. You know, little kids, little guys would say, oh, I'm better than her, I should be on Toy Machine, you know? First, I'm like, fuck you, and then second, I'm like, well, I guess I gotta put in more work now, you know? But mostly fuck you, yeah.
I don't know, I think that we still live in a day and age where as a woman, the odds are stacked against you, kind of in any industry. So I think any breakthrough is just like a step in the right direction. We're here, fuck all you, we're gonna do this, whether you like it or not.
Everyone I've encountered is like they're excited to see a girl skating. They're like, damn, that's sick. It's been a lot of support. I think where it gets less supportive is when money comes into play and it's like you're sick, but we don't expect to like pay you like you're one of the guys.
When you learn to skateboard especially, or when you're learning certain tricks, think about how many times you fall. I don't know, you're in a very vulnerable place. So I think as a girl, it might be magnified. Then it's like, you learn to not give a shit. And that's where all the power like really lies. I think skateboarding is just a form of art. Everybody who skateboards, everybody who steps on a skateboard, no matter how far they take it, even if they just enjoy it for a few days, you know, has an artistic experience with it.
Okay, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So I was like 8 years old and I asked my dad, I said, Dad, draw me skateboarding. He drew me doing like a backside air on a ramp, which is so weird to me because I feel like all I do is backside airs.
I think my dad inspired me the most art-wise just because he had a home studio, so I would go into his studio like every single day and just be annoying and watch him. Like, this is probably my favorite thing I've ever done. I don't know why, but for some reason, it's just like, I just want all my art to look like that. You do one thing and you're like, oh, damn it. I think this is definitely influenced by Shel Silverstein. I think when you're drawing, you're not trying to, I'm not trying to draw like anybody else. You just draw what is in your head. I was really looked up to Missy Elliott, and she wore these great fuzzy fedoras. And I was at the mall when I was like 11, and I ended up getting one. And yeah, that hat gave me a lot of confidence. Like, you know when you see an image of yourself and you're like, that's me. This is that model. Like, this is what my inner self looks like.
Nora wears good gear. I like those lavender pants, like lavender pants with lavender shoes. That was cool. I think that's important, really. It's like, you can remember all those things, you know? You're like, oh, that footage, she's wearing those shoes.
Her style of skating, like, it reminds me of like a skating I grew up watching on Transition. And so there's it's somewhat romantic to me.
Matt Hensley with Doc Martens on, you know, with the jeans rolled up. Jason Jesse in the jail cell in the old videos are Lance, like, jumps off the roof and has the leaves in his mouth. Like, that's something Nora would do, you know? She's not scared to do that. Like, she just had a video where she was a fairy at the skate park and she, like, had a wand and, yeah, she's a lot like Lance with the funny faces and that stuff's attractive to people. It's like, that shows that she's like a real person. That's skateboarding. That's everything you want. That's why we pick our favorite skaters, is because we can see something in them that's like, it's not about tricks.
Yeah, I've always thought my job as a professional skateboarder was to make people fall in love with skateboarding. So if somebody still holds that idea as being valuable, then it's an amazing thing.
A ton of people pick skateboarding up, but it's like, what are you gonna bring along with that? What are you bringing to the table as far as like from, you know what I mean? From here. And some people have that, some people don't. Nora has that in spades.
I think When people see you truly doing like what you love in like an unapologetic way, or truly being yourself, or when you're having like the most fun, like you're gonna get noticed. And that's, you know, what I want people to see is like, she loves skateboarding.
We judge other skaters, or we find the ones we like, but you know, you gravitate towards a certain kind of like style.
When Nora skates, like she does backside tail slides on transition, but she could like push it through, you know what I mean? Like that's hard to do. And like kickflip backside disaster styles, and like the way she controls the board, it's not like, it's very like graceful, but like powerful at the same time. It's really cool to watch.
Like, if I think of a backside air, I think of like some of her photos. What I've never done, I've always compared my skating or something I want to be like to like dude skaters. So like it's the first time it's popped in my head, like backside air like Nora, you know, she's just sick.
What makes Nora Nora? I would just say, to be honest, I would just say her smile and her personality. She's just, that's her joy riding a skateboard, you know? Like, you could be the best skater in the world and have a sour dial, you know what I mean? No one gives a shit about you, you know? Nora is good at skating, amazing personality, laughs when she's skating. You can just see she's enjoying herself. So, to me, that's what makes her special.
I think the only rating that I could even put on a skateboarder is like, how much do they make me want to go ride my skateboard?
There's a representation that's like it's needed, you know what I mean? It's still a small community of girls that are like out there, like that have coverage or like exposure. But those are the girls who are inspiring like groups of girl skaters like all over the world. Like in a decade from now, it's gonna be way different. There's gonna be so many.
Because I grew up in something that was had so few women in it and so few girls in it at the time that I was doing it, I think it gave me all the more ability to confront the world as I got older.
We had a conversation in the kitchen at the old house. She had come home from work and she was sitting there on my computer watching skating or something. So I said, Nora, on a scale of 1 to 10, how convinced are you that this professional skateboarding thing is the way you want to go? And she looked at me and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, to what extent do you believe in this dream? And she's like, it's a no-brainer.
The year before I moved to California, or like the 6 months before I moved to California, we lost our house and my parents split up within like 6 months.
So I'm in business for myself as a professional coach, just getting started. And Danny's business starts to dip. And it dips slowly, about 10% every year, until Nora's graduation year, which is in 2011. And we are really struggling at that point. Like, I knew in 2008, 2009 that we were ultimately gonna lose the house.
Right now we're at the house that I grew up in. First 19 years of my life here. So when we were like cleaning stuff out of the house, that was really not fun. It was like, there was no in between for me. It was just like, I'm moving and oh, the house is gone. It was kind of like jumping off a ship that you can't like swim back to. Like, ship's gone. The biggest takeaway for me at that time was that nobody is going to do anything for you. Like if you want to be happy, if you want to follow through with plans and you want kind of to make your dreams come true, only person who's going to do that is you.
We saw this girl and she was doing like long 5-0 to fakies, and we were just tripping out, like style-wise. She just was so comfortable on her skateboard. We're like, whoa, trip out on that girl. As soon as we saw her, we wanted her to ride for us. I mean, she's ripped.
Somebody took a shot of her kind of down the line in the square pole doing a frontside air. And I just really liked the way she was hovering over her board. You know, she was all tucked up in a ball and, you know, all tuck kneed and kind of hanging out over the front of the board. So I put it up on Instagram and I was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna go learn frontside airs like Nora, like whatever, because this frontside air is insane and I wish I could do them like that because my frontside airs suck.
Girls will hit me up on Instagram and they'll ask me about where do you get your pants, or you know, any aspect about like my aesthetic, or like where did you get this, or like what size board do you ride, what trucks do you ride. Like it's just really cool to think that somebody cares, and then to be able to give somebody something that they can find empowerment in.
My name is Stella and I'm 11 years old. When I see Nora skate, it's not just about tricks. She's like so nice and she's so kind, she's funny. She's just an overall awesome person. And she rips. She's really good at skateboarding.
I'll show you something. I'll show you pictures. My daughter's gonna, if she ever sees this, she's gonna kill me because she doesn't want people seeing this. This stuff is a direct influence from Nora. Like she sees the way she does the watercolors and the little lines, and she's like, so not only in skateboarding, just in everything. And then this one is actually really sick, look. There's another one in here I really like. Oh, this one. Yeah, she's the shit. She's cool. I see that and I'm like, I even text her like, dude, you're doing more for my kid than like you can even understand, you know what I mean? Just by putting that like positive message out into the world that like there are no like guy skater, girl skater. You can be an artist, you can skateboard, you can dress however you want to dress, you can, you know? Yeah, so. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously though, it's like, it's really special.
I was part of the Adidas Showcase, which was an art show at the 7th Letter Gallery right here off Fairfax, and it was really wild. I had never shown my art before, and to be part of a group show and to have the energy of all the other artists and just like to take things that I like drew in my bedroom alone by myself and then put them on display and have this big like celebration. It's just amazing.
What is it, you?
Yeah, it's just like it's a Monster Children's.
Can you autograph it? That's not a very good fit.
Winning in Shanghai was really cool because it's the Vance Park Series World Championships. So I think just on that like worldwide level to be considered a world champion at anything is really bizarre and yet very like satisfying. You know, when else would I get to skate a park that myself and only a couple handful of other skaters get to skate in Shanghai in front of the Pearl Tower? Like it's just like a very, you know, unique thing. Okay, I come off as goofy and playful, and I care more about it than some people think. Winning this kind of just helps me show other people how committed I am to skateboarding in the broad spectrum of it, and not just in what I enjoy doing, which is, you know, the filming stuff, but it's a lot more about being like, yeah, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. This is what I love to do.
But she made a list of goals when she was quite young, just different goals she had for what she loved to do, her passions of skating. And now I'm always amazed when I ask her, I said, do you comprehend? You're 24. There are people who live a lifetime wrestling with a dream. You fell in love with something and it loved you back early on.
It's a very surreal feeling, the whole where I am now versus where I was even just 2 or 3 years ago. When you like truly follow what you feel like you're meant to do, or you don't let anybody get in the way of that dream and that passion you have, it's just like so rewarding to wake up every day. I was always gonna be a skateboarder. I just didn't think anybody was gonna care.